Patients and their families often ask me whether there's a cure for Alzheimer's disease, or at least whether there's a treatment that will slow down the rate of progression of the disease. Unfortunately, the answer is currently no. This is why there are relentless efforts at Alzheimer's research to ensure that there is hope in finding a cure. Alzheimer's disease is not just a disease of the elderly. Although it's rare, we can see people with Alzheimer's disease in their 30s, 40s and 50s. So why has the cure been so elusive? Well, I think there are several reasons for this. Alzheimer's disease is a complex disease. The brain is a complex organ, and the disease process itself has been extremely difficult to unravel. We know what happens at the end of the disease because we see accumulation of abnormal proteins, amyloid and tau, in the brains of people who die from Alzheimer's disease. But what we don't necessarily know is the sequence of events that leads to that point. One of the reasons for this is that the brain is difficult to access during life. We can't easily take a sample of brain. And so we rely on other pieces of information, for example, the symptoms that patients describe or what we see in a brain scan. However, by the time we see changes in brain scans and symptoms, the disease has probably quietly been progressing and damaging nerve cells for 10, 15, maybe 20 years. So one of the real challenges for the field is being able to see inside the brain during life and find tests that allow us to improve diagnosis and make diagnosis earlier. We also need to find tests that allow us to track the disease and determine whether any potential treatments are actually engaging with the disease process. And for making that diagnosis, timing is absolutely key. Any drugs that are likely to be effective need to be given at the right time, and ideally that's as early in the disease process as possible, hopefully many years before the onset of symptoms. Historically, Alzheimer's disease research has been underfunded. For every one Alzheimer's disease researcher, there are 4 cancer researchers. So in order to be able to tackle this disease head-on, we need a critical mass of people. And so how do we improve our chances of success? Well, I think collaborative research is absolutely key. So the type of research that involves patients, their families, doctors, and also lab scientists from a number of different fields working together, this is much more likely to translate ideas into potential treatments. I'm really excited that RICO are partnering with Alzheimer's research, particularly a company with expertise in technology that can give something back directly to people with Alzheimer's disease. But it's also really useful for engendering a sense of enthusiasm amongst researchers, amongst patients and their family, and increasing the appetite for research. The field of Alzheimer's research is really a generation behind cancer research, for example, but it needn't take a generation to catch up. And charities like Alzheimer's Research are committed to working smart and using innovation to try and close that gap.